Not far from Haran is Urfa, or Shanli Urfa, glorious Urfa as it is known today, a large city lost in the middle of nowhere, 50 kilometers from the Syrian border. Originally, it was known as Edessa, and it is steeped in history. Subject to the mysterious laws of military alchemy, great empires fought each other for centuries in this hot, dusty location that continued to be a theater of dispute between leading historical figures almost until the present day. The people who live here now are anything but aggressive. In the cool, relaxing park, pious Muslims gather to throw chickpeas to sacred carp. The fish are sacred because legend has it that at the funeral of the patriarch Abraham, who was a great prophet for the Muslims, the sparks from his pyre turned into carp when they hit the water. The entrance to the so-called Cave of Abraham is always crowded with pilgrims. According to a local legend that contradicts biblical history, this is the birthplace of the prophet Abraham, friend of God. Shanli Urfa is a melting pot of races and ancestries, Turks, Arabs, Kurds, and foreigners. The souk is emblematic of the ethnic mix. A cacophony of voices speaking in many different languages, but one is missing: Syriac, the Aramaic of the Syriac Christians who lived here for centuries. Two columns known as the Throne of Nimrod, the biblical founder of Edessa, stand out against the sky on the Kale, or fortress. On one of the columns, one can still see an inscription in Syriac recording the name of Queen Shalmat, who was a member of the local royal dynasty which established itself in Edessa in the late 2nd century BC, and whose line of kings lasted until the early 3rd century AD. It is said that Abgar VIII, known as the Great, converted to Christianity in the year 206 with the majority of his subjects, and thus the city became the world's first Christian kingdom. This is more legend than history, but it is very likely that the new religion reached Edessa at an early date, making it one of the most important centers of early Aramaic-speaking Christianity. As a result, its local Aramaic dialect, Syriac, became the language both of the Syrian Orthodox Church and of the other Syriac churches of the Middle East. Today, however, there are no signs of a Christian presence. The Christian population here, as in many other cities and villages of Upper Mesopotamia, was forced to migrate, or more precisely, to flee from the hatred and persecutions that, in 1915, even took on the characteristics of genocide. The last Christian communities left in 1924, spurred on by the massacres, and took with them all they were able to save from the dismantling of their churches: furniture, relics, holy books. Everything was transferred to nearby Aleppo in Syria, where they were warmly welcomed and have been able to continue professing their faith in peace. That's why traces of the early Christian community of Edessa can be found in St. George's Church in Aleppo. In the atrium, a modern bas-relief depicts the Aramean king of Edessa, Abgar V, known as the Black, who reigned many years before Abgar the Great. The king is depicted gazing at a linen sheet bearing the image of Christ. Tradition has it that Abgar the Black admired Jesus' miracles and sent a messenger asking him to come and heal a terrible illness from which he was suffering. Jesus answered that as soon as he ascended to heaven, he would send the king one of his disciples. When the messenger returned, he showed the king the effigy of Christ that Jesus himself had miraculously impressed onto a linen sheet, and the king was healed.